Okay, we on live.
Come. All right, Shalom, Yasharala. It's Great Millstone, New Orleans, coming back at y'all with another live lesson. But before we get started, as always, we're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders of Great Millstone, and Shalom to the hopeful elect. So this lesson is entitled "The Heart of Blackness," and we're going to go into the mind of so-called black people and where it comes from. All right, it really goes back to the imagination of Esau Edom, the so-called white man. He's orchestrated this idea that we're African, that we're black, and it's funny that people say, a lot of our people that claim to be woke, they'll say, "You guys still believe in the Bible? The white man wrote that." Meanwhile, everything that they believe literally comes from the so-called white man, particularly Amalek, these so-called Jewish people. But there's a difference between Negroes and Africans, which we're going to get in the scriptures, as well as all sorts of information. Brothers should, take notes on this one. There's a lot of heavy information. We went into it with the brothers on the conference, but this is something Israel needs to know. If you got it out.
Con, you want to go with this first scripture?
Come on, we can start with the Exodus 11 and 7.
Yeah, Exodus chapter 11 verse 7 says, "But against any of the children of Israel should not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how the Most High, all right, does put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel."
Right. The Most High put a difference between us and these Egyptians, man, these Africans, these Canaanites, these Cushites, all right, so-called Ethiopians, so-called Somalians, so-called South Africans, so-called all of these heathen. All right. The scriptures refer to them as dogs. We're not equal. There's no such thing as a black race. And it's funny if you were to tell somebody from Japan that they're part of the yellow race, and Japanese people and Chinese people are the same, they would get highly offended. All right. People from Vietnam know that they're not Cambodian. People from China know that they're not Korean. They all know that they have different ethnic groups within the continent of Asia. But yet our people, they really think that the Negroes that fled into West Africa and the heathen in East Africa are all the same race of people, which is not so. All right, which we're going to get some scriptures and some definitions here. You could share the screen, Elder Babalusha, the Ham. Right, this is in the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary. This is the definition of Ham. It says Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of the 8 persons to live through the flood. He became the progenitor of the dark races, not the Negroes, but the Egyptians, Ethiopians, Libyans, and Canaanites. Which, when you look at the so-called Negro, we have a totally different countenance. We have, different hair texture, different facial features. We're the greatest people on the earth. And all of you people saying that we're African, you would have to explain why don't so-called African people have the attributes of the Negroes in America? And not just the Negroes, the Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, specifically who they call indigenous people, people of color, the things that we're able to do, our culture, our spirit, it goes back to the Most High. It doesn't go back to Africa.
Right.
But if you wanted to get, oh, we also brought out that word ham, in the Hebrew is chum, which is basically the landmass was named after how hot it is. Chum is the root word of chemistry. All right, these Hotep niggas, they'll call it Kemet. It's really like a K, an M, and a T. They pronounce it Kemet. It's really chum in the Bible. This is where you get chemistry, alchemy, chemist. The landmass just means hot. And
right.
Israel. Oh, you got it.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. Israel actually means the son of the Most High. All right. You have Yasharallah in the Hebrew. Yah meaning he, Shar is prince, Allah is God or power. So we're the princes of the power, but Jake would rather just be hot, be African. All right. That's ridiculous, man. But yeah, we went into the if you didn't have anything, we can go right into that note from Henry Kissinger.
Okay.
Because Henry Kissinger, he actually sent a letter which was confidential, but when you go into the White House after a few years, the confidential, the letters, the correspondence, they get declassified and sent to the public. So This is one of the notes that Henry Kissinger sent to the president of the United States.
And I'm putting it up as a government website too.
Yeah, we didn't make this up. We didn't alter this.
All right. As you can see,
And this was sent in 1969, which is spiritual. That's the year that the truth, the Most High allowed the truth to flourish with our elders' elders. All right, starting with Albert Bivens and the elders back in New York.
all right. A particular part.
Yeah, you could just put Control F and just put in Jew. It'll come right up.
Control F.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Control on Apple. Like fine.
Yeah, it's not doing nothing. So I have to find out where is.
It's one of the first paragraphs up at the top. You can stop right there. I'll find it on my end. Give me 1 second. Because in this letter, Henry Kissinger actually lets the president know who the Israelites are. But yeah, it's in that paragraph that starts with. Oh, you want to share mine?
Yeah, I'm looking at your.
All right. So right here, you see.
You just gotta zoom in. Some more.
You see it?
Yeah, a little bit one more time.
There we go.
Yeah.
You see, this is Henry Kissinger. He says the Igbos are the wandering Jews of West Africa, gifted, aggressive, westernized, at best envied and resented, but mostly despised by the mass of their neighbors in the Federation. So why is the Secretary of State, he's sending a note to the president saying that the Igbos are Jews? Now, the majority of Negroes in America, we're related to the Igbos. Igbos, that's a way of saying Hebrew. Igbos goes back to Iber or Eber, which means Hebrew. So the tribe of the Igbos, they're known by these Edomites as Jews of West Africa. And that's the majority of the slaves that came to Brazil, Central, and North America. They're Igbos. Now, we didn't make this up. This is not something we just thought of one day. This is a classified document that was sent to the President of the United States in 1969. Now, how do people get around this?
I go back. I go back to the top. All right. So you back on my screen.
Yeah, if you can give me Luke 21 and start at 20. Because how did the Igbos get into Africa in the first place? Where did they come from? All right. Then you have these other West African tribes, the Akan, the Ashanti. These are all words that are in the Bible. All right. Ashan, those are cities in Jerusalem. So why are there West African tribes named after cities in Israel? Because they're Israelites.
Right. You said 20, right?
Yeah, you got the red letters checked. Yep, that's it. So this is Yahushua speaking. When you see the red letters, that's the Messiah speaking. And this is a prophecy and a warning that he gave our people. This St. Luke 21 and 20, it says, "And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out, and let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled." So he warned our people to flee Jerusalem when it was compassed with armies in 70 AD, and millions of our people did that. They fled into Asia Minor, they fled into Europe, and the bulk of them fled into where? Africa, which is where they ended up, getting brought over on slave ships. That's how the Igbos got into Africa from Jerusalem, and it's right here in the scriptures.
Yeah, I have that other book in my bag, the Ibo book. Even in that book, all right, it speaks on a lot of that, and also it speaks on uh, how that the so-called white man, when he came to the shores of Africa, he knew who he was getting. All right, he knew the different. He knew how to differentiate between the indigenous Africans and our people, man. All right.
God, I got a map up here real quick.
Okay. Got it.
This is a map of West Africa, as you can see. It's called Negro Land. All right, this is where the bulk of the transatlantic slave trade took place, which it actually started in Europe. It started in Portugal and Spain, and then decades later they went into West Africa. But you can see here, you got the kingdom of Benin, which goes into Benjamin. You got the kingdom of Judah. These people know exactly who we are, and like the elder said, they knew who they were taking into slavery. It's not a coincidence. All right, the Ethiopians never went into slavery. The Canaanites, the Libyans, they were never taken on slave ships. That happened to a very specific tribe of people, which was biblical prophecy.
Let's see something real fast. I want to do something real fast.
Okay.
Because, like I said, we got to prove who we're talking about, or at least show. And this is the book right here. All right. And like I said, since my time in the truth, I seen this book go from $25 to then at $3,000, And why would they make the book jump in price like that? Because it has, and it tells a lot of truth, man. And they don't want the average person to get that, So like I said, if you able to get this book some way, somehow, and like I said, I had to go some years before I got mine. All right. But if you can get this book at a cheap price, a reasonable price, get it, But that's it. I'm going to go back.
Okay. So how does a group of people that know that they're Hebrews, how do they end up identifying with the term black or the term African? This was all orchestrated by a group of Edomites, and we're going to get to them one at a time, Lord willing. All right, let's start with the Johann Blumenbach character. God, so this is one of the founding fathers of African American studies. All right, you pro black niggas, you Pan African Negroes. This is your daddy right here. All right, this is his brainchild. All right, it says Johann Blumenbach was a German physician, naturalist, and physiologist and anthropologist. He is considered to be the main founder of zoology and anthropology as comparative scientific disciplines. He has been called the founder of racial classifications. So this is the devil that came up with the idea that there's basically 5 races. There's a white race, a yellow race, a brown race, a black race, and a red race. And so his idea is that the white race are Caucasians, which they're not white, they're actually red. All right, they're Edomites. And then he has the yellow race, those are Mongolians, all right, so-called Chinese people. They have Mongoloidism because they go back to Lot and his daughters, all right? They had incest, all right? Their race comes from incest. But anyway, he has the brown race, which is so-called Pacific Islanders, Malaysian people, and basically what the Bible calls Japhites or Japhetic people, he calls the brown race, which we're actually brown. But then he has something called a black race, which is us. He lumped together Ethiopians and quote unquote sub-Saharan Africans. He lumped that together as a race, even though we're 2 completely different races. We're not Ethiopian, all right? Which the term Ethiop is a Greek word that means burnt face. So the Cushites, the Greeks named the Cushites burnt face, and then they named us black. But we're not black, we're brown. Then he has something called a red race, which is Native Americans, which the Native Americans are copper tone. They're brown skinned people, just like us. So this is where all of that madness and confusion comes from. This is why when you try to explain to somebody, look, we're not black, we're brown, we're not African, we're Israelites, their mind can't get outside of the white race, the black race, the yellow race, the brown race, and the red race. they're under mind control from Johann Blumenbach, which this devil is over 300 years old, man. He made this up. He made it up out of thin air, but it governs the minds of people to this day.
I want to put some up there too to go into what you're saying, all right? Because one of his beliefs was he did a lot of research on the shape of people's skulls. All
Uh,
right, that's how he go into the mongoloid, caucasoid, negroid. All
mhm.
right, and he judge you on the shape of your head.
Yeah, I think they call it phrenology.
Yeah, phrenology. All right, that's how he came up with these colors of people. All right, as you can see right here, I zoom in some more.
Mhm.
All right, this is where you get this from. All right, and Jake used this stuff and don't even know where it come from, man. And
Mhm.
this, like I say, see, this is another thing. This is what he was heavy into the shape of skulls. All right, the bridge of your nose, the bridge, the part of your high cheekbones and shit. All right, him, the Charles Darwin, there was some high level devils, man. All right, and like I say, all you see, this guy was heavy into this stuff, man. It's another one. Well, I ain't gonna go into that, but yeah, you got it.
Yes, it is a collection of skulls. If you collecting skulls, you you a damn demon, man.
Yeah,
He has a fetish for skulls, a skull fetish. But this is who our people look to classify race.
right.
Pure madness.
Negroid features. He got this, you know, and this was the guy who right here, man, who came up with all this shit, man.
Yeah.
Which we bring him out on the block a lot of times when when Jay come up speaking out of term and not knowing what they're talking about,
Mhm.
because the one thing about out here in GMS, one thing we love to do is go to the origins of where all this stuff come from. All right, which we're doing it tonight is showing you who's the father of blackness, man. All right, all these black terms and things that Jake used. All right, they were all invented by so-called white people. All right, all these organizations. Who's the father of it, man? All right, more than likely the Edomites or the 1948ers. What you got it at?
Yeah, it's them specifically, Amalek, which today they call themselves Jewish people. Now you have to ask yourself why are Jewish scholars obsessed with African American studies and history and convincing us that we're African? Why are Jewish scholars so heavily invested in teaching us who we are? Because they're lying. They've stolen our identity. All right. Even that Jake Malcolm X, he said only a fool would allow his enemy to educate his children. And that's exactly what our people have done. You've allowed this devil to educate you and tell you who you are, to tell you about your story. And then he sets up these puppets, which we're going to get in a moment, who who he makes the face of his ideology and his organizations. Before we jump the gun, let's get into that Melville Herskovitz devil.
Okay, it's him, but I got this up here for you too.
I got his picture up.
I got him.
Kind of. Now look at this guy. This is clearly not not the friend of you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. You could just look at this dude and see he has war in his heart, which is in the scriptures. Matter of fact, you can get that real quick. Baba Gusha. I'm gonna read some about this Melville Herskovitz. It says Melville John Herskovitz was an American anthropologist who helped to first who helped who helped to first establish African and African diaspora studies in American academia. He is known for exploring the cultural continuity from African cultures as expressed in African American communities. So this is the devil who created African American studies and who taught you, Jakes, that your ways and customs come from Africa. A Jewish anthropologist. He just made it up. Let's have African American studies. Let's trace the American Negro back to Africa.
Right,
He made it up.
and you Jakes love to have it so, man.
Yeah.
I got the scripture you wanted.
Kind of the water.
Yeah, this is let me go up here and following along. All right. This is Psalms uh 55 and 21. It said, the words of his heart were smoother than butter. The words of his heart, the words of his mouth, so like it. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. The, his words were softer than ours, yet they're drawn swords.
Yeah, this guy speaks as if he's trying to help you, Jakes. I'm going to help the Negro in America get his identity back. But really, war is in his heart. He really wants to destroy you. He knows that you come from Jerusalem. All right, these devils actually celebrate the Ark of Titus, taking down our people. But then they teach us that we're savages, we're animals, we're African, we're black, we're everything except the children of the Most High. And he's stolen your identity, but he's going to help you. That's like somebody stealing your wallet, and then they're going to help you find your wallet. Your wallet is in his pocket the whole time. He's like checking under the couch. Let me help you find it. Let me help you Negroes find who you are. But you stole our identity. But you're going to help us find who we are. That's madness. Let me get this real quick. This is in Sirach. You don't have to put on the screen. This is Sirach chapter 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. You're never supposed to trust anybody like this. This man is a pure devil. It says, verse 16, an enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first.
Yep.
And though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. And that's exactly what he did, man. You see us destroyed as a people, not knowing who we are, coming through the transatlantic slave trade. Then we go through the chattel slavery where it's illegal for us to read. Then you come and say, hey, look, I have your history right here. You're African. He's pretending to help you, but he's undermining you. I'm gonna give you a fake history, a fake identity, and then have you niggas practicing voodoo and all kind of madness.
Yeah, thinking you're African with bones, and that's why I remember coming up younger. Even my moms and uncle and them was into that Africa shit, leather, green, black, and red.
Yeah,
had the fist and the African thing around their neck. This is a bunch of bullshit, man. The whole time, all right. And Jake really believed they're from Africa, man.
Yeah, Jake got the Ankh tattoo. Jake got the like the elder was saying, the red, black, and green medallions with the Africa logo, and that leads to absolutely nothing. There's no order, structure. There's no law, statutes, and commandments to being African. You have a continent with over 100 different countries and over 1,000 different dialects and ethnicities, and then you tell somebody, well, you're African. So what does that mean? What do Africans do? What do Africans celebrate? Niggas got made up holidays, Kwanzaa, all kind of just random, just a bunch of madness and total nonsense that has nothing to do with the Most High, exalting him, worshiping him. Most pro-black doctrines go back to worshiping the black woman, calling her God, worshiping matriarchy, all kind of madness to keep you in a state of derision and confusion. This devil wants you to follow anything except the Torah, except the Bible, except the Messiah. He gives you a white Jesus, then tell you that you're black. That's a total mind fuck. So the greatest man to ever live is a so-called white man, and I'm a black man. What?
Yeah, man.
That's a total mind fuck. But then our people, when we try to tell them the truth of the Bible, they'll say, well, the white man wrote that. The white man tampered with that. He edited this and edited that. Well, wait a minute. The white man edited your whole psyche. Your whole mind goes back to this devil right here. He created African American studies.
I got one for you.
Go on. You got it.
This is Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the streets of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified.
It's talking about right here. All right, the Lord was physically crucified in the ancient world, but over here, that word crucified means to diminish one's power. This is where the Lord was completely destroyed. His image was completely eradicated. All right, you have this devil went around the world knocking noses off statues, painting over dark images, they call it iconoclasm. Icon means image, clasm means destruction. So he would destroy the images of the saints and then paint himself up to be the Messiah, completely destroying people's minds, mainly our people.
Right. And it goes on to say, and they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves.
This is a perfect example. All right, he knew exactly who we are. He knew we were in a dead state. We were disconnected from our power. And because he's the devil, what did he do? He gave us strong drink. He gave us wine. He gave us African American studies instead of telling us who we are, which these nations know exactly who we are. When you go into Psalms, the 83rd chapter, it tells you that they made a confederacy with one consent to cut us off from being a nation. They know we're not African, and nobody knows that we're not African more than Africans. All right, Ethiopians know that they're not Negroes. They know that we're not the same people. They brag, they mock, they scoff at us. Oh, we never went into slavery. The white man never conquered Ethiopia the way he did y'all. They know we're two different people, but then they come over here and tilt their hat backwards and try to act like a nigger. You had that nigger. What's the niggas? Abba and Preach. The one nigga is a Cushite. He knows he's not a Jake, but he'll mock our people. He'll try to act black when it's convenient. All right, these people are not. They're not our people, man. They're not our friends. You Jakes don't have any friends. We can get that Champollion next.
Okay.
Yeah, this devil right here. This is who came up with Egyptology. For you Sarnetta niggas, you Hotep niggas, you niggas that wear the ankhs, you niggas talking about Ashe and Horus, which that's a whole nother. You got lettuce gods, but this is the devil right here.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys, you come out on the highways and byways and deal with us. We bring this guy out, which crush everything about you, because you'll say that the white man wrote the Bible, but no, a white man really came up, all right, with your whole what is your whole
Language, doctrine,
language, doctrine, everything, man. All right, and this is the guy right here.
Yeah, it says Jean-Francois Champollion, also known as Champollion Lejeune, it says was a French theologist, which is someone that studies language, multiple languages, an Orientalist, known primarily as the decipherer of Egyptian hieroglyphs. So he's the one that translated y'all shit, man. You got a nigga with it's a falcon for a head and a nigga for a body, and he's telling you, well, this means this means that. It's an idol. It's a giant idol. It's not deep. But this nigga will have you believe there's a whole language to that madness. And what's crazy is the so-called white man, he'll tell you this is what this Egyptian pyramid says, this is what this papyrus is saying. He'll just make up what it says and then tell you that this is scientific proof that this happened. But then when we go into Exodus and tell you what actually happened, oh, no, we can't trust that. A man wrote that. We can't trust that. A man put that in the book. Well, the brother's showing you on the screen right now. This is a so-called white man that made up all of this Egyptian nonsense. You niggas running around trying to be pharaohs, getting the eye of Horus. That nigga polite Pharaoh. What was the nigga name? The other dude, the Pharaoh dude. All of these dudes getting makeup on their eye to try to look like Egyptian pharaohs. That all comes from this devil.
You niggas going crazy with copper, man. Niggas putting copper in their beards, copper around their eyes, a copper crown with Egyptian. Man, Jake out of their minds with this shit, man. Yeah. All the while, all right, this is your daddy right here, man.
God, put that devil on the screen.
Yeah, I want you to make sure you go down there about it, because he the one came up with the Rosetta Stones too, man.
God.
But this devil right here, and you can see he's doing the hidden hand.
Yeah.
All right, so you know what he is. All right, he was a high level Mason.
All of these dudes. Everybody we showed so far was a high level Mason.
Maybe Scottish Rite or Yorkshire Mason, man. I'm gonna go back up here to where you was at. There you go.
God.
I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. There you go.
It says during the 19th century, French culture experienced a period of Egyptomania,
Ooh.
brought on by Napoleon's discoveries in Egypt during his campaign there, which this is also where they were knocking noses off statues. They would find out that, a so-called African king had a had a certain particular nose that resembles ours, and they just knocked the nose off. And then they'll say, oh, lightning struck it. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Lightning.
when they got actual videos, and you can look them up, they got actual videos. They kind of distorted because the time period it was in, but they got them shooting literal gunmen standing out there in the middle of the desert shooting the noses, man.
Yeah, they can't stand that somebody that doesn't look like them is regal, has some type of royalty. Even the Egyptians, man, the original Egyptians, they're Hamites, but they had a kingdom. All right, the Persians had a kingdom, the Assyrians had a kingdom, which they have that bust, which there was the king of Assyria. He took Judah into captivity. You can see the nigger nose, the nigger lips, the waves. Jake had waves and naps in their hair. It's evident who we are, man. But they cover all that up. But it says, this is the point right here. It says, which also brought to light the trilingual Rosetta Stone. So this is the devil behind the Rosetta Stone. So you don't trust the Bible because according to you, the white man wrote it, which is ridiculous. The so-called white man didn't write the Bible, all right? But he wrote everything that you believe in. He translated the so-called ancient texts. All of this information goes back to Esau, Edom. But this is what our people believe. It makes them woke.
I got one for you.
Okay.
This is First Maccabees chapter 3, verse 48. It says, and laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen has sought to paint the likeness of their images.
Okay, that's plain. The heathen. All right. At that time, they were calling themselves Greeks, which the original Greeks were Japhites. They stole their land and started calling them Greeks. They stole Rome, started calling themselves Roman. They stole Britain and started calling themselves British. They stole America and started calling themselves American. This is what they do. All right, these devils are in South Africa saying they African, man. Elon Musk is an African American. All right.
For
you
real.
can't make this up, man. These people have an obsession with what's the scripture that says they call their houses after their own names, man.
Yeah.
This man is an identity thief. He goes around stealing other people's heritage and then he claims to be them. All right, he'll wear a man's skin. He's a total psychopath. This Esau is a psychopath. He's a homicidal, homosexual maniac. All right, he'll kill you, skin you, and wear your skin, and then tell other people that he's you. He's been doing this for 2,500 years. This is it. That's his MO. But you're black.
I got one. Let me get it on the screen real fast. Slide it. Let me move the screen up. So there we go.
That's it right there.
Huh?
No, that was one of the ones in my head. The water.
Oh, I went to the wrong one. Let me go. Oh, hold on. My bad. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, this Micah 2:2.
God.
It says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage.
Right. They oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. This devil stole the Western Hemisphere. He stole North America and then wrote a song saying, this is your land, this is my land, this land is our land. How you steal something from somebody and then say it's ours? That's gangster as hell, man. This dude just a bully. All right. He goes around the world stealing people's land. He'll set up garrisons and different he'll have military bases on other people's land, telling them how to live, what type of customs they're allowed to practice, and then telling them that they're responsible for the condition of their country when you kill their leaders and install puppet leaders. That's what they do. And the most important thing, they steal people's heritage and they confuse the world and convince you. Like right now, people actually think that our homeland is being fought over by Jews and Palestinians. The Palestinians in the Bible are Philistines. They're Africans. The Jews in the Bible are the tribe of Judah, so-called Negroes. All right, the people in our land right now are not the real Jews and they're not the real Palestinians, but they're fighting over our land. The whole world is confused because of this devil. He has Arabs thinking they're Palestinians and Caucasian people thinking they're Jews.
Hmm.
Y'all are confused, man.
Yeah, that's all he do. Is he brings forth confusion. All right. Um. Anything else you want?
Lesson on that, we could get we can go to Gerald Massey. He's the companion to the contemporary with Napoleon. You can see right there it says Gerald Massey was an English poet and writer on spiritualism in ancient Egypt. Now let's stop right there. This dude is a fictional writer. He's not a scientist. He's not an anthropologist. He's a fictional writer. But this is one of the forefathers of Egyptology, man.
I think he was thrown off too, or illiterate or something, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, all of these people are thrown off in some kind of way, you know.
Yeah, I'm trying. I don't hope I don't get him mixed up with somebody else. But I think it was him in some type of way.
It says he was attracted to Christian socialism later in life. It says from about 1870 onwards, Massey became increasingly interested in Egyptology and the similarities that exist between ancient Egyptian mythology and the gospel stories. All right, you niggas that talk about, oh, the Bible is plagiarized from ancient Egypt. Oh, the Bible was stolen from Egypt. That goes back to this Edomite, man. Everything Jake believes goes back to Edomites. It
That's
says
right.
he studied the extensive Egyptian records housed in the Assyrian and Egyptology section in the British Museum in London, where he worked closely with the curator, Dr. Samuel Birch, and other leading Egyptologists of his day, even learning Temple of Horus, which was being excavated. So these are a bunch of Edomites who are deciding what ancient Egyptian records are saying. They're making it all up.
I'm looking for this other thing real fast. They probably don't put it in here. Hold on. I know where it's at.
But yeah, everything Jake believes goes back to Edomites, which again, we have to laugh at the irony because that's Jake's number one excuse for not following the Bible. They can't trust what men write, which tells you in Peter, the men that wrote the Bible were moved by the Holy Spirit. What were these men moved by? They were just fascinated by Egyptian idols and stealing. All right.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'm gonna watch because I ain't
Uh,
gonna be able. I ain't gonna be able to. I ain't gonna be able to do it on here. Like, I'm about to send it to you.
okay. Yeah, you can get Franz
It's,
Boas next.
it's another one, real fast. Let me see. Let me go back. There's one more on this dude, man.
Yeah, this excerpt is going into how he explored. He was basically one of the people, like right now you have a lot of people that'll say Jesus is based on Horus. That goes back to him. He tried to find a bunch of similarities between the story of our Lord and Savior and this idol Horus. And a lot of what he did, it has confused our people to this very day. They'll actually read this stuff and go, man, they stole the story of Jesus from Horus. No, the Catholic Church took a bunch of idols and tried to teach that and say that that was in the scriptures. That's part of what we do. That's really the majority of what we do is tear down strongholds. We break down lies that have been told by devils like this.
I don't know if you can. Is there any way you can? Let me see. If you want to go in any more of that, but they got some good meat on it in there.
Yeah, I'm gonna just read it real quick because I think this is the person you were talking about. It says, born in abject poverty in England, Gerald Massey was almost entirely self-taught, yet was able to write and lecture about several subjects with tremendous uh, erudition and authority, which means he was speaking boldly about things he didn't understand. He couldn't read the Egyptian, he couldn't break down the hieroglyphs, but he taught it. This is what Esau does. Esau, he loves to speak like with authority about subjects when he's freestyling. He'll say it like, yeah, I'm a doctor of this, I'm a scholar of this, but he's freestyling. It says, yeah, it's saying the same thing as the Wikipedia.
Okay. It was something in there that was
Oh, it says, in his detailed and careful analysis of the Egyptian religion, the pioneer Massey extensively utilized the Egyptian Book of the Dead, which was termed the Ritual by Champollion, a convention followed by Massey and others. So he was a contemporary of Champollion, and he took from the Book of the Dead, which that book, they try to say that the Ten Commandments come from the laws of Mayat, which there's no such thing as laws of Mayat. The Book of the Dead goes into negative confessions. Basically, after you die, you get presented with some kind of dog god, and you have to explain to him 42 things that you didn't do in order to go into heaven. Total madness, man.
total madness.
You got to confess your sins to a dog, a dog person thing. Like, come on, man. What are we doing?
And Jake believed that shit, man.
Yeah.
You know,
But I know people personally in the world that have Ankh tattooed on them. Like, you ask them what does an Ankh mean? They don't know. It's sex worship. All right. You have the hole at the top, which is the box, then you have the rod. All right. That goes back to sex worship. There's nothing deep. The heathen, everything they do goes back to sex worship. That's why they're obsessed with obelisk, which is a giant rod. All right. They worship fertility. They have fertility gods. They worship sex. They don't worship the creator. They worship the act of creation, which is a man and woman coming together. They're obsessed. Their minds are just defiled, man. Where sex is a beautiful thing, but you're not supposed to worship it. You're not supposed to idolize the act of sex. That's thrown off.
uh,
Yeah, we can get Franz next. Franz Boas.
okay, I got him right here.
Look at this bozo. She had a naked demon. He was always shirtless. I put the image. Yeah, this is Franz Boas. All right, your great so-called scholar. It says Franz Yuri Boas was a German American anthropologist and ethnomusicologist. He was a pioneer of modern anthropology who has been called the father of American anthropology. His work is associated with the movements known as historical particularism and cultural relativism. So this is another one of these devils that's a contemporary of all of these weirdos that can't that molded what we call race today. All right, the idea of race in the Bible goes back to your nationality, your seed, your father's stock. All right,
Right.
that numbers 1 and 18. The pedigree comes from the house of your fathers. But these devils teach that your race is based on how you look, the shape of your hair, your nose, the texture of your hair,
Color of your skin.
yeah, the color of your skin, and the region you're from, which people migrate. How can your race be based on a region when people move? All right, the where you are right now is not where you've always been the past 5,000 years. That doesn't even make any sense. But this
And
is
it
what people.
also they eliminate the father seed and bring and it make you believe you from your mother. You know, which your mother is just an incubator, right? Your father holds the seed, man.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. The word body itself goes back to abode. An abode is a house. Your house is where your spirit lies. Now you could have a house that has a bunch of African bricks. You could have a house that has African bricks mixed with Italian bricks. Your house could look different, but on the inside, your spirit is not mixed. There's no such thing as a mixed seed, a mixed spirit. You are who your father is. And these devils teach anything but that. Even these Amalekites, they go by the mother. You're only a Jew if your mom's a Jew. What scripture is
Yeah.
that? That's
It's
nowhere in
totally,
the Bible.
which the Bible speaks totally against that. All right.
Uh,
All right. You are what your father is. And I believe I brought it out on the block before. And I'm trying to remember the way that the guy said it. You know, basically like it goes back to the word manufacturer. Your father is a manufacturer, all right, meaning his seed produces whatever he is, and your mother is nothing more. They compared it to like a warehouse. She just stores the product for a time, which that time is 9 months, and then it brings forward what the product of the father, whatever the father is, man. All
uh,
right, and they know that, all right, but they purposely deceive and teach the world that you from your mother, which that's not true. All right, Numbers 1 and 18. Go ahead, Al.
God. Yeah, your father. Another word for father is origin. That's why they'll say, "Oh, the father of this, the father of modern science, the father of anthropology." Your father is the source. All right, your mother is a habitat. That's why they name storms after women. They name boats, vehicles after women because that's a habitat. That's where you reside. But you don't come from a woman. Everybody comes from a man through a woman.
That's right.
Everybody on earth.
That woman plays that part. All right, she's an important part, but the main part is from your father. All right. That's why when you also go into you know, which we get into a lot of debates with people on the block, it seems they can't explain Matthew Matthew 1 and 1 on down. All right. This man begot this man begot this man. All right. And there's no women in there. All right.
That
But
word
these are the
begat.
guys
Oh, sluggy.
I said, but these are the guys that brought forth the confusion of that too. You know? Go ahead.
That word begat means having coming forth from a man, male offspring. And
Mhm.
Yahushua, Joseph begat Yahushua, which that's a whole nother lesson. All right. There is no virgin birth. That's not in the Bible. That also goes back to Egyptology. All right. That you see a woman holding a baby, there's no father there, and then you're just supposed to worship her because she's a virgin. That's mythology. That's not real. Let me get this from the comment board. The brother Shalom Yahweh.
Go on.
The brother put out a good news translation of Romans 1 and 25. They exchanged the truth about the Most High for a lie. They worship and serve what the Most High has created instead of the Creator himself, who is to be praised forever. Exactly.
Uh,
But yeah, before we get into these niggas real quick, let's get that article, The Heart of Blackness.
okay.
So this is Herskovitz. There's a documentary about him. I'll just read it real quick. It said if you could make it a little bit bigger, or you could share mine.
Okay.
Uh, I'm gonna just skip around, but it says cultural relativism might be easier in theory than in practice. Take the case of Melville Herskovitz, a Jewish American anthropologist of Slavic extraction who broke new ground in the definition and analysis of African American culture. And it goes into the film here, but I want to get this part right here where it says in the film Herskovitz, at the heart of blackness, intellectuals and historians discuss the vast impact and heated debate Herskovitz continues to inspire around our modern perception of cultural identity. Herskovitz was the first prominent white intellectual, Edomite, to declare that Black culture in America was not pathological, but rather inherently African, and that it had to be viewed within that context. In posting this and positing this, he established himself among the anthropological vanguard in applying the principles of cultural relativism to ethnic cultures within the United States. He traced regional traditions in art, music, dance, and other expressions to a kind of persistent cultural memory in modern day Black Americans, most of whom are generations removed from Africa. So he wrote a book called The American Negro, and he basically pushed this idea that we're African based on how we look, how we dance, how we act. But he knows that we're Israelites. He knows that because it tells you in the Jewish Encyclopedia that the Negroes fled into to Central and West Africa. These people know exactly who we are. Or we bring out that book from Babylon to Timbuktu. They knew that 3 million Jews fled Jerusalem and went into Africa in 70 AD. This is common knowledge. So why would a Jewish American, so-called, be so heavily invested in convincing our people and convincing the world that we're African? Because he's the devil.
That's right, man. I'm looking for one real fast.
Yeah, we can get into W.W. Du Bois and Frederick Douglass next, because it's one thing to be the devil and to come up with all of these weird doctrines, but one of the main things they use is either our people or people that look like our people to push this madness. Now, everybody that we mentioned so far is clearly an Edomite, but the people we're about to show you now, they're also Edomites, but they look like Jake. All right, they look like light-skinned Jakes. There's something that the scriptures refer to as tares. All right, you have someone who has an Edomite father, but has a mother that's a Jake or another woman of color, and so they look like our people, but they're actually Edomites. All right, the so-called civil rights movement, the founding fathers, these are Edomites. They just look like Negroes, and this is one of the main ones right here, which brothers have met him personally. This is W.E.B. Du Bois.
Come
All
on,
right,
man. That's an inside joke, man.
yeah, but yeah, this is a Edomite. All right, now he's one of the main people behind the civil rights movement in the turn of the 20th century, man. It says he was an American sociologist, writer, historian, and a Pan-Africanist civil rights activist. A Pan-Africanist Edomite. And you can't tell Jake, they had a debate there was an ongoing debate between him and Frederick Douglass, which, let me see if I could put him on the screen.
I got him. I got him right here.
Come on. So you have Frederick Douglass and W.E.B. Du Bois. They were contemporaries, and they both had different views about what Jake was supposed to do. And Frederick Douglass was all about using education to make Jake self-sufficient, and W.E.B. Du Bois was all about trying to end segregation and create a class of Boule Negroes to lord over Jake. So they had a difference of opinion and philosophy, but they were both Edomites. Frederick Douglass is an Edomite. All right, his dad is an Edomite, and W.E.B. Du Bois' dad is an Edomite, man. Those are two Edomites arguing over how Negroes should be perceived, how they should be treated, what type of doctrine they should follow. And neither one of them is a Jake. You got that nigga Dr. Umar Johnson. He tries to convince people that he's a direct descendant of Frederick Douglass, which, if he knew the scriptures at all, he wouldn't want to claim any type of lineage from Edomite.
Yeah, he wouldn't want to be that guy. Which he just confused his damn self,
Yeah, which he's set up. All these people are set up, man. Everybody that's a so-called black leader, from Martin Luther, which his real name was Michael King, so-called Martin Luther King, they're all set up, man. If you Google Martin Luther King and Rothschild, you'll see a picture come up. He was the LeBron of that time. They hold his hand, walk him around. He was a total puppet, man.
Total puppet, which all of them are puppets. Every organization that Jake ever started, these were the puppet masters behind the scenes running things, man. You want me to go into this dude?
Okay.
Which this guy here, all right. This guy, all right, Henry Mauskevich, all right. This guy and the Spingard brothers, all right. I'm gonna go back up here, all right, and get it. Okay, this is where I got it from. But when you do some research, you'll find out real fast that this guy, all right, who I just put on the screen, Henry Mauskevich, which he was a Romanian gutter rat lawyer back then. He funded right along with these two guys, all right. These two brothers called the Spingard brothers. They're the ones who founded the NAACP, man. All right. Some 1948ers. All right. And after so long, after it being it originally started off as a white organization. This one of the brothers right here, Joel Spingard. All right. And his brother was this other guy right here, Arthur. All right. And those were the guys who came up with the NAACP. All right. And like I said, for so long, it was white faces, and they came up with the brilliant plan of doing what? Put a black face to it, which this guy was the candidate for it. Mm-hmm. All right. But behind the scenes, they can control money. All right. They can control influence. All right. Blacks. And they use this black face, which, like the brother said, this is an Edomite. He's a graham cracker. All right. All right. he's dark on the outside, but he's an Edomite inwardly. All right, and they use this guy as a tool. All right, to control the organization, man, or be the face of the organization. All right, that the what's the other with the Urban League? All that shit was started by them guys, man. Like I said, all black organizations. All right, the puppet masters behind the scenes are Edomites, or mostly. All right, 1948 is if you know understand what we're talking about. All right,
Mhm.
so-called the so-called Jewish people, man. All right,
Yeah, even these HBCUs, they're set up by Edomites, man.
right.
A lot of these so-called white men, they had children with their slaves. They had, little octoroon grandkids. They wanted their children to be educated, so they created HBCUs. There's nothing righteous about these Edomites trying to educate our people.
Like I said, these are two brothers. This one here and this guy. All right
Two
along with
Edomites.
two Edomite brothers, the Spingard brothers. Right along with this guy Henry, man. Right here. All right. It was the brains of that organization. That's why when you go into all the pictures, of the NAACP back then, all right along with the civil rights movement, who you had behind the scenes, all you got to do is put in Jewish Martin Luther King. You'll see who marched on Selma with this guy. Who was right in the crowd with this guy, man. Showing you who ran it,
Yeah,
you know.
that devil rode his people.
I want to say these two, Salaki. Them two guys, those three guys, the Spingard brothers and that guy Henry Moscovich, they were high level Masons too, man, and they was part of the Scottish Rite Masons. But go ahead,
Come on. You had that devil Stanley Levinson that wrote MLK speeches, and he was a gutter rat.
Yep.
All right, that I have a dream speech. Jake didn't come up with that, man. Edomites wrote a speech for Jake to proclaim to the world that the ultimate dream, the ultimate goal is to have Edomite children playing with Jake children, man. That's not a dream, that's a nightmare. Our people, anytime our people mingle with the heathen, we get destroyed. But that speech was written by Amalek. African American Studies was created by Amalek. These HBCUs were built by Amalek. All right, the concept of race that Jake has in his mind goes back to Amalek. These so-called white people.
Yep.
But yeah, we could get you can give me Isaiah 25:7.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites because this is the time we're in right now. All of these lies that have been told to us for centuries, that our parents believed, our great grandparents believed, and even we believed it growing up, it's all being destroyed right now through the truth.
This is Isaiah 25:7 says, and he shall destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all the people, and the veil that is spread over all nations.
And this is a prophecy, also a promise, all right, from the Most High, that in these last days he would destroy that covering cast over all people. And it's happening right now. The Lord gave us our identity back. We see these heathen for who they are. These Edomites know they're Edomites, which the elites have always known. But now, your everyday Joe Sixpack, he knows he's an Edomite. He knows he's going into slavery. Some of them have accepted it. Most of them are bucking up. All right, the heathen know that they're heathen. But it's a beautiful time to be alive, man. This all these end time prophecies of an awakening, of a revelation, a revealing, a pulling back of the veil, an apocalypse, the truth going out. It all comes right before what? The Messiah destroying this current kingdom and establishing a righteous kingdom. Truth is going to spring forth, which is doing right now. And then, matter of fact, we're going to have to get that Thessalonians, all right? Because after the Lord exposes the truth, he's going to destroy this place. Let me get that real quick.
I got one real fast.
You got it.
This is one that came to my mind. This is Ephesians 5:8. It says, "For ye were sometimes darkness, but now ye are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light."
That's the condition we were in. We were in a total state of darkness, which, that film, The Heart of Darkness or The Heart of Blackness, that's what we were in. In our mind, we thought we were black people. This isn't, we're not saying these things as if we came off a chariot, with this holy knowledge. No, the knowledge came from on high, and we were woken up. Our elders, they were preaching this word for decades. It reached us, and now we're doing the same thing. We're passing the truth on to the elect, the
and which
children
we
of the
got,
light.
which we got to go into that blackness because that's a negative kind of negative. Uh, it has negative what is tones, undertones to it,
Yeah, connotation.
connotations to it, man. Where it means negative, void, dead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and they know that, man. Like Elder Malcolm goes into a lot of times about how they came up with the invention of white people in the state of Virginia. I believe in the brother always I always get it mixed up. I think it's 1661,
1681.
1681. You know, it
Yeah,
came
you
up
had,
with the invention of white people. All right, go ahead.
you had something called the Baker's Rebellion. Basically, you had a lot of indentured servants that were from different ethnicities, which most of them were Jake. You had Irish Jake, and you had so-called Negro Jakes and so-called Native American Jakes that were linking up because common sense will go, wait a minute, we outnumber these people like 9-1. So why are we being ruled over by them? If we join forces, we could take these people over. So Esau does what he always does. He does divide and conquer. All right, you're white people, you're black people, y'all are different. If you listen, you white people, you're broke, but at least you're not niggers. So if you work with us, we'll give you some elevated status. And that's what he's done, and it's worked for over 200 years, but it's not
Yeah,
working anymore.
you remember that guy I showed y'all, brothers? The guy, which he's a he's an insider and a whistleblower. The guy Tim, y'all, brothers who interested in this, go research a guy by the name of Tim Wise, and
Tim
he
Wise,
breaks down, huh?
Tim Wise, kind of.
Yeah, Tim Wise, and he breaks down exactly what we're talking about. All right, how they came up with that invention of white, and they also gave them they wanted them they didn't want whites and blacks to come together, so they came up with the invention of white. All right, and that was elites. That was a fast move by the elites, so that the whites don't turn on them. All right, because you got whites and you have rich Edomites, and then rich Edomites thought of that. What the brother said: if these people outnumber us 1 to 10, we got to find a way to kind of get them on our side. And they gave them the union, they gave them privileges, all right, and they gave them ultimately slaves, man. All
Mm-hmm.
right, turn them, turn them over to them, all right, their hearts. But go ahead, that's a whole other situation in itself too,
Yeah, that goes into Jim Crow because a
hmm
lot of our people they think chattel slavery was the worst thing that ever happened to our people. No, when we got so-called released from slavery, that's when it really turned up because we came out of chattel slavery with all the skills, the agricultural skills, learning how to build things. We were extremely industrious and we were stronger physically and we're better suited to working outside. So if we're free, how's a so-called poor white man going to compete against a Jake that knows how to build a house from scratch? He's a plumber, he's a master electrician, he's a construct, he knows everything. No, like the elder said, you have to form unions, and that's when they started the Ku Klux Klan. The KKK didn't start during slavery. That was when we got out, man. This
that's
devil
right.
was really threatened when Jake could go get a job, and he's stronger than me, he's smarter than me, he works harder than me. There's no way to compete. We gotta kill these niggas. We gotta lynch them. We gotta instill fear in them.
And like Tim Wise said, he said that the smartest thing you whites could have done was actually get more people in the union, all right, to become stronger. But you knew that you were going to be outworked, all right, outskilled, man, all right. Um,
Uh,
let me see something. I was looking for something, but I can, it's up to you.
I wanted to get. I'll just get the Second Thessalonians 2. We can start at 7.
Why did it do nothing? That's weird. You want right here?
Okay. Yeah, 2 Thessalonians 2:7, it says, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work," all right, which is talking about the Roman Empire. It says, "Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way." And that's the time we're in right now. All right. The Most High let this devil run rampant. All right. Going back to Job 9:24, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked, and he's just done the most. All right. When you read Ezekiel, the 35th chapter, it tells you that when our iniquity had an end, that's when he got even more bloodthirsty. All right. When we came out of chattel slavery, that was supposed to be, a time for us to kind of get our bearings straight, but he just went even worse. All right. It says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." And that's what's going on right now. This ministry, Yahushua's ministry, is consuming the wicked with the spirit of his mouth. The prophets bringing forth the truth, going into the history, going into the archaeology, going into the scriptures, first and foremost. And it says after that happens, like,
I ain't say that.
okay, it says, "And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming." So after the truth is revealed, Yahushua is going to destroy this devil with the brightness of his coming. A whole fleet of angels, or as it tells you in Matthew, there's a holy host of angels that are going to come back with Yahushua, and every eye is going to see him. But the truth had to come out first, which is what's going on now, and he's going to destroy him physically.
God.
Yeah, that's all I had. The mind of blackness goes back to the imagination of these Edomites, man. All you jakes that really believe in black power, Pan-Africanism, which Pan means all, you just into everything. There's no standard. All right. That's madness, man.
Yeah, yeah, that was it. You can go ahead and shut it down.
So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the elect, all right, the children of the light who aren't in blackness anymore. We're going to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachach. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect. Shalom.
Shalom.